The September 22nd, 2022 meeting to order at 4:14 PM. Machines open for roll call. Let the record show 8 council members are present. Ms. Newberry is absent. Can we start on the agenda, please?
You want me to do it, or you doing it? Agenda item 2, executive session, there is none. Agenda item 3, proclamations, there are none. Agenda item 4, status report by the parish president.
Thank you, Ms. Dupes, and thank you, Mr. Chairman. Some good news to report today. All 6 tractors are in, and they're all operational. So the plan is to start in Bellchase and work its way down. 4 tractors of those 6 are in the Bellchase area cutting down. 2 tractors were moved over to the East Bank, so now they have 3 15-footers. But just because we appreciate you guys stepping up, appreciate it, to know the concern that we have with the grass cutting and the tractor issue, but that hasn't really alleviated our problem. We only have one other 15-foot tractor. So right now, I have the 6 new ones on the road, 1 extra one on the East Bank. I have 2 5-footers with bush hogs cutting on side of the roadway, and I have 2 boom mowers. So those boom mowers one is on this side, one's on the other side. That's all I have right now, and we will tackle as fast as we can. We have a plan of going down on the Nutri-Grounds in the side of the roads to identify those areas that are high grass and getting it as fast as we can get it. Yesterday, we started out by Chevron and made it all the way down to Myrtle Grove. So from Myrtle Grove down, we were today, I don't know how far we got, Scott, maybe you can give me a report later. So we still are struggling with tractors in the shop. So we just want you to know that we still have operators, but no tractors, that they are sparingly coming out of the shop. But the 6 was a great deal help, and we, again, appreciate you guys. We watching the tropics. There's nothing that has formed yet off the coast. Again, we want to reiterate, there's nothing formed. There's all kind of spaghetti models that says where it's going to go, but we are monitoring, and we will keep abreast as soon as we find out something. And if the National Weather Service initiates some phone calls, I will let you guys know. But right now, it's just waiting and watching. October 4th is National Night Out Against Crime throughout the whole parish. And I know there's many different ones in different areas, and we encourage everyone to get involved and go to the one in their area. Also, we having a campaign this year. This October is October is always Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we paint pink, and it's a lot of pink that we wear. But we also do a campaign called Paint Plaquemines Pink, and what we do is have a shirt sale, and we sell shirts, and that money goes toward the Susan B. Coleman Fund and allows us to have some recognition as the Plaquemines Parish government how much we put into it. So the order forms are on the website. Our initial day will be October 26th, which is a Friday, and we're asking everyone in our parish to participate in a great event. You can order shirts up to September 30th. They're relatively the same as last year's shirts or 2 years ago. But if you want to get a new shirt, please go to the website and get a new T-shirt. And again, we're going to have that on October 26th. And Mr. Chairman, I just got a text from my wife, and my daughter is in the hospital with high blood pressure. She's due in about a week. So if I run out of here, it's because of that. But
We understand.
I'm gonna be here as long as I can to answer any question, but I just want you to know I just got a text, so.
Can we get Brad to maybe check out on some prices on the A-booms?
That is our next thing, and that will be our As I told you, that $180,000 that we get from the state, we're gonna put that in capital in our budget. Not put that in the budget, but put that in capital, and the next thing will be an A-boom. And we wanna try to buy a machinery and an extra A-boom that we could probably hook up to one of the new 15-footers. So, yes, that's our plan.
Thank you. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, how you stand on personnel for the tractor?
We have, I think Scott maybe can.
Y'all have enough?
Yes, we have enough personnel to put on all the new tractors.
And
Yes, we do. Some of them are still cutting on 0 turns right now, till the other 4 tractors that should be January, hopefully earlier. But we do have, and as some of the other tractors come out the shop, we can put them on them.
those that are in the shop, are they really dependable? Are we
Some of
spending
them
money
are,
wasting
some of
money?
them aren't. Some of them are.
Well,
Yes, sir.
since we did get the 6 new ones.
Yeah.
Talking to Brad, and I think he said at the last meeting, 6 of them will go to auction.
Okay,
Because we're offsetting some of the fleet, and probably have we're putting a lot of money into older tractors.
that's what I'm
So
saying,
with
yeah.
the worst of those 6 will definitely go to auction.
Okay.
And then when the next 4 come in, we'll rotate some more out. But
Right.
we're trying to piecemeal what we have, and
Right.
if we can get one running, we'll get one running.
So we have enough personnel for what we gonna do, and those that come out, we be all right
We
running.
have 19 tractor
Okay.
drivers, what Brad told me, 1 on FMLA. So it drops us down to about 18, and 1 was out sick, so we had 17. But we
Yeah.
still think we're comfortable. If we could get more tractors running, we
Right.
could have them operating those tractors.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you.
Ms. LaHaye?
Oh, by the way, you can charge me if you need a drive on these things. Call me up, I can do that too. I do have a drive.
Okay,
I have one in my prison.
appreciate that.
I'd just like to thank you for Scott, the crews. They've cut most of everything north of the tunnel. All the ditches looks great. Planters Canal on one side. I have a question because some constituents are bringing up some issues, so I need an answer. Do we currently have, or have we ordered anything that you cut, the sides are cut, that cuts the bottom where all the cattails are to give a better flow of water in case of flooding?
That's the distance of the arm can reach. He reaches as far as he can. It's 24 foot. So,
That's what I thought.
yeah,
So-
he reaches as far as he can, and if he can't reach it, you know.
So there's nothing, no piece that, and that's what I observe, that's what I see. And, but I just wanted to hear it from you. It's however long, there's no definite piece of machinery that does that. It's just however long the arms will reach.
You could attach a grinder to a long boom, but you'd have to have that one certain piece. We could check into that, but.
Yeah, New Street has got it a lot, although the drain pipes, after I went, checked the drain pipes, there's still plenty of room for water to go through. Planters
Yeah.
Canal Road, because it can only be cut on one side,
Yeah,
then that leaves a whole lot of greenery and brush and growth where it does definitely impede.
right.
But these people were more interested in New Street.
Don't we have them grinders for the excavators?
It's it's not for the long boom. It probably wouldn't reach it. They got, it more or less grinds down a tree. Okay, but to get onto the other side, like she's
Yeah, it's
explaining
deep.
at the very bottom, because Planter Canal, that ditch is deep. You know, it's
Well, New
really
Street
deep.
really is too.
So they extended the boom out as far as they could and cut, so,
Okay,
yeah.
all right, good enough, thank you.
Dr. Gui?
Kurt, I know you may have to leave, so if you could just make a comment in case you do have to leave under 9F, we're talking about contract. It's $250,000 up there. You might want to explain what that's about, and when we get to it, I mean, Scotty could probably do it, but while you're here.
Can we-
On the table today, we have our goal was, there was some extra Go Mesa money left. And we came to you guys first about the marsh buggy to cut in some of these ditches. And it looked like the consensus of the council was, let's look into cutting that grass of the levees. So what we did is send out some proposals, or ask for some quotes. And we had 4 different companies that we reached out to. 2 didn't bid. One was a local bidder. He didn't want to bid, or didn't give me a quote. They ended up getting 2, one out of Baton Rouge, and another quote was from a guy who actually works for Infomark and does a lot of their work. And his quote was the lowest. So he gave us a quote, and we broke it down per acreage. We broke it down per mileage, so they can give us exactly how much it would be in these areas. So we're hoping today, with you guys, that would help us get those levies cut to the end of the year. That's what we're asking. We're not asking for a long-term contract. We're asking to get those levies so we can tackle them with levee inspections, and we can get the grass under control. Once we get it under control and it becomes wintertime, and we have those extra tractors, we believe we'll be able to tackle it. Our prom superintendent believes we'll be able to tackle it. Now, this money is used for Go Mesa and levies only. So we believe that it's a good fit to get something done quickly. We came to you guys and asked if you wanted to do the buggy. I think, again, some did, some didn't, and the consensus was get the levies cut. The buggy was about a 2-year process to being made or to be delivered to us. So in that time, we could have got some levies cut. So again, 9F is very important to get it done, and the levies will be cut from the beginning of the parish all the way to the end of the parish, the front and the back levies. So I ask for your support, guys. The tractor was unanimous, and look, I appreciate that, and we're seeing dividends now. But if we can get those levies cut by the end of the year, and we have maintained the grass on our neutral grounds and our sidewalk, we'll be a step ahead. So again, I just ask for your support on this. And as soon as you can okay this and moving that money from capital to professional services, we can get the guy initiated and they can get on those tractors and get rolling.
Ms. LaHaye?
Oh,
Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure. The cost to reallocate Go Mesa money to cutting the levy. What's the cost of that item?
What the cost of it is to do all of from Belle Chase to Venice, the river levee, and the back levee from, I say Captain Larry's down to Venice. One cut is going to be about $100,000. Okay? If we get able to get 2 cuts in before the end of the year, then we're able to meet that maximum. We have about 220, 230 and some change in that fund. So if we can get that done, we can we can look a lot better. We'll be a little bit ahead of the curve with the levee inspections, and we won't get dinged by the Corps as we have been.
Thank you.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, the Go Mesa funds. Mr. Hellman's not here to elaborate on the usage of the funds. You're saying it can only be used on levies?
Yes, that's what our interpretation was, and we kind of researched it, and the only thing that we see we could be used for levies.
And,
Oh, I apologize, or coastal projects.
yeah, I mean, my understanding that Go Mesa funds could be used a little bit more than that, but since we are getting ready to go into a cool season, so to speak, and we know the grass will stop, don't you think that maybe one cut, $100,000 would be adequate?
And that's, I believe we probably can. But if we could get just at least one cut and maybe get us to October, November, we could reevaluate it then. And then if it's low enough or it's up to the Corps standard, I would be glad to do just one cut.
But we know if we put the money in, you're gonna do 2, right?
Yeah, you have to put the money in professional service. But again, we would reevaluate it when we get close. And if it's not needed, we will not do another cut, spend another $100,000.
What y'all think?
You finish?
My opinion is. if
Mr.
you got-
LaFrance?
If you got that type of money, buy new tractors. Then you own it, and then you see your returns not for just 1 year, but for 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Buy new tractors. You got employees that's not doing anything, that's not cutting grass, buy the new tractors.
Okay. I don't believe it in the stipulations of Go Mesa, you can buy equipment, okay?
That's on the levy.
Yes, sir, it is on the levy, but I
Do
do,
you know for sure?
I'm almost certain, Mr. LaFrance.
I would prefer to see buying new equipment. That's the way to go. Because you was getting ready to use this money to buy a piece of equipment. Am I right? You was getting ready to use this money to buy a barge, what did you call it?
Marsh buggy.
A marsh buggy. You was buying a piece of equipment. So why wouldn't you switch the same money to buy tractors? You still was buying equipment.
The marsh buggy, and I can't answer that for Mr. Helmets is not here, but the marsh buggy was designed for ditches, for the levee, for certain things that are deemed co-mesa with coastal restoration. So, again, I'm asking you guys to get it, we could get it cut a lot faster with a company that we could and tackle this down. If we had the $100,000 or the $200,000, we might be able to get 3 new tractors. But again, if the Go Mesa comes and says, why they not cutting on the tractors, on the levees, why they cutting on the neutral grounds?
Buy the new tractors and cut the levy. That's your biggest bang.
Mr. Blank?
You wasn't going to cut much grass on the levee with that little excavator. So buy 3 new tractors, put some bush hogs on it, and cut the levee. That gets your biggest bang for your buck. And then you're not only using the tractors to cut 1 or 2 times, you're using the tractors to cut 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year, 5 years. That is your biggest bang.
So from what I've come to understand, Go Mesa, the Gulf of Mexico Energy Security Act, some of that funding can be used for coastal infrastructure, so pumping stations, the drainage network that connects to those pumping stations. We don't have to get into it now, but there's a lot of room for us there within reason, right? Yield.
Next item. You gotta ask us.
But maybe Mr. Dollar, maybe I get up. The area that we have with all the grass that the parish president said haven't became an emergency yet, would that be considered neutral ground?
39?
On 39, would that be considered neutral ground? Huh? So I'm just, because I know that been elected for 3 years and it's just horrible. It looked like a forest. So, and I heard the information about from Belchester, Venice, and I'm wondering, can any of that be used for these banks? Because that area on the highway is just horrible. It's like a forest. They've been elected because they dug the ditch out, left the mud there, didn't take it, moved the mud, didn't smoothed it out with a bulldozer, and it's just horrible. So I don't know how the Corps going to expect that with all the grass there. So if it's neutral ground, then I'm hoping, if you have money left, that you really consider that, because it was something that heavy equipment was supposed to do. And the last week when we brought it up to you, Mr. Pleen, you're just saying that, you just haven't got around to it. And so since this money is available, I'm hoping that you consider our neutral ground on these banks, especially there, because I think Mr. Spollinger said at the last meeting, he put that request in 2 years ago, and to say nothing happened in 2 years is just horrible. So I hope you consider Highway 39 our neutral ground, from especially there from Phoenix to Perla-Hash.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes. When those full tractors that's coming down south, when they get to St. Jude, please make sure that they come and cut Diamond and also cut Diamond Park.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, this is something I bring up every year when we talk about budgets.
Name and address.
Donald Valley, Walker Road. We have coming up on the agenda today some more sale of surplus equipment. What I asked last year was for you all to consider possibly taking whatever proceeds come from that surplus equipment, be put back into the allocation of that department to replenish new equipment, and not throw it into the general fund. And that's just add that addendum to any surplus equipment.
Thank you. Ms. LaFrance.
Yeah, I would like to make the recommendation that the $180,000 that we get from the state for cutting grass, that we use that money to replenish our equipment year by year. Buy 2 new tractors every year.
He already said that.
That's what we said we're gonna do. We're putting it in capital this year.
Thank you. Next item.
Update by the charter directors, old business and new business.
Anyone have anything?
Yes.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, Mr. Roussel, did we get somebody trained on the grader?
Did we get somebody
Did
trading
we
on the
get
grader?
some new person? Remember, a couple of meetings ago, I asked, could you please start training some new people on that grader?
Right, we have, Wade has been running it a little bit. But yes, he runs the other, long boom, what he's working on some ditch banks too. Because we have just 3 operators on this side, so we're working on that, yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Mr. Bartholomew?
We need the grader on the East Bank. How many years we bought that grader? About 2 years? 3 years? Yeah, 2 years. I've been asking for it for 2 years. They ain't gotten it yet. That marine and stuff, the machine doesn't do a good job at that. I mean, it fills the hole, but it's still rough. And we got other areas that need to be graded. And the only thing to make it right is the grader. So when will we get the grader?
Right across on the ferry?
The Bell Chase Ferry, come on down with it.
Bell Chase.
It's
You
gotta
have
go
to
to.
Bell Chase.
Yeah, you can catch Bell Chase and start coming down.
All right.
Or either go all the way down and come back up.
Let us get an operator for the grader and we'll try to get
Yeah.
down there.
But he said he had 2 operators.
No, he said he's working on an operator. He said
I
he got-
misunderstood.
he said he's got Wade.
Working on
He's training one. One is in train that's need being used. So let him come train over there on this side.
Mike B is our best operator on the grader, and he also is a pop operator. That's his main focus.
But it's been hot these last couple of days. There ain't no pumping going on.
I understand.
But I'm sure whenever you need him to pump, but take him for pumping. I mean, that's the number 1 priority with that.
Okay.
You know, now guys down there, they tried their best to do it, but it's not right. You know, it's still rough. Still rough. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next item,
Next
please.
item, number 5, bids and advertisements. A resolution authorizing the purchasing agent to advertise for and dispose of surplus vehicles and equipment on an as-is basis through public auction conducted by Henderson Auctions and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kokavich.
I'll offer as for a second. Second by Mr. Bartholomew. She has a list of equipment she's sending to the auction. And yes, ma'am.
Yeah, you should have pictures with him too.
Yes, sir. Any questions on this? That money, when we sell it, do we put it back into equipment or general fund?
Mr. Hobble, I'm sure it goes back into the general fund.
Can we start looking into putting it into the equipment?
I will talk with the finance director and see if there's a way that we can distinguish when we sell equipment, because we sell all kinds
Yeah.
of cars and stuff, and so if there's a way that we can single that out and get it into a fund, we'll definitely look into it.
All right, thank you. Any other questions on this item? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Next item, item 6, beer and liquor licenses.
If you have one, queue in. Don't see any. Bad week this week.
Special permit.
No drinking in Plaquemines this week.
I have one for Mike Bergeron, 104 Pleasant Ridge. And the event is on 10/15/22. Fishing for Charities Incorporated.
And with that, do you offer?
Yes, I so offer.
Where's the event held?
104 Blue Heron, Post of Louisiana.
Mr. LaFrance offers there a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions? Machines open. Can we move to, and passes 8-0?
Hold on, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
Can we move back to President report?
Can we go back to 4, President's status?
Yeah,
Mr. LaFrance?
we are, I guess we are anticipating a hurricane that's getting ready to go into the Gulf next week. Are we doing preparations for that? Can you elaborate?
Well, I said it in the report, Mr. I said we are actively watching it,
Yes.
and we are all engaged to see what's happened. Again, the spaghetti model's got it going from here to Texas. So we are actively watching it, and we have a couple more days to get prepared, but we are actively watching.
You praying too?
I'm sorry?
You praying too?
Yes, I'm praying too.
Krista told me she's praying.
I don't want to
I'm
see
sorry,
any.
Miss Taylor said she's praying.
Mr. Alborough?
With that said, I was speaking with Scott yesterday, and if there's a way we could just let the public know to try to limit the amount of trash piles they put out in their front yards, because I know it takes us about 2 to 3 weeks to get all the way around the parish with the picker.
Yes, sir.
Please, some way to get that out to the public to limit it just in case so we don't have flying debris.
Thank
Mr.
you.
LaFrance, I've been in contact with our flood control, start moving equipment in place, rubber top forklifts where they need to be, all the equipment need to be on levees. So, if we stopping on some of the ditches, just to be prepared, we are moving equipment. I've been on the phone all day long talking to flood control, Prong, and everybody.
Are you anticipating them moving portable pumps by Point Celeste?
Venture Global is trying to do that, put in 4 pumps. They got to get permitted through the Corps, and they're in the process of working that. Right now, we do not have pumps big enough to put at Point Celeste.
Okay,
So, we are moving one about 12 inches from Point LaHash, West Point LaHash, by the pumping station right there. We moving that up the road and getting it out of there in case we need it later, because, Jefferson Lake is right there, and if you got a big surge, that's a problem. So, we are working on moving equipment in place, though.
yeah, I'll give Mr. Bird a call tomorrow.
Yes, I talked to him a couple of days ago, too. They still in the process of working on those 4 additional pumps at Point Celeste. They're working with the Corps.
18-inch?
They pour 24 inches.
24, okay.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank Mr. Bartholomew.
Yeah, I heard you, that you're taking a pump from Point LaHash?
West Point
West Point
LaHash.
LaHash, away from Jefferson Lake.
Okay, for over
It's a
there.
12-inch pump
Alright.
we use at that little pumping station right there. When
Yeah.
Ida came, it went underwater.
Okay, 'cause I
So
didn't-
we did get it working now, so we removing that pump and getting it in a safe location for if we need it somewhere else. That's
I
all.
just didn't hear the west. I just heard-
West, excuse me,
okay,
Thank
I didn't hear the west.
I'm sorry.
Oh, me, baby, you said that.
Can you go to 9G?
Item 9G, an ordinance to amend the 2022 firefighting fund operating expenditure budget, firefighting general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Cognovich.
I'll offer as for a second. Second by Mr. Alborough.
We have changes. On lines 9 and 17, we are changing the amount from $252,710 to $775,000.
With those changes, I'll offer Mr. Alborough seconds. Mr. Butcher?
Yeah, what I'm asking for, your consideration today is, we need to buy some fire trucks. We know Venture Global came in and, they did give us some money, $775,000 to buy a fire truck. With, the increase of prices, I was asking for $252 so we can get the 2 fire trucks. It's gonna go to Myrtle Grove and Lake Hermitage. As, increase in sales tax, it helped us out. So we looked at getting a third one because come October 1, trucks are going up 6.5% with this company. Next year, if we wait about this time, they're looking at 13 to 15%. October 1 Cummins is coming up, I just spoke to a rep today, is going up 13% on their engines for the custom chassis. So if we delay this, we're just spending money that, you know, really the community's money than we can buy early and save the time. We do have a need for trucks. Right now, we do have 1 truck in the shop that's been in the shop for a while. It's from Port Alpha. We have a truck from down the road, the spare truck in Venice, that we have in that station. We had a truck today, leaving a call, it broke down. We had a truck last week, broke down. We have spent over approximately close to about $100,000 so far this year on maintenance on vehicles, equipment, generators. We're trying to maintain everything. The trucks are old. In 2018, Chief Robichaux came and asked you for 5 trucks. He saw the need. We know at that time, obviously, there was a money issue. We have the money now, so we're just asking, you know, we're trying to get on a replacement plan to get this equipment up to date and where it needs to be.
Like I talked with you, I had a problem when the electricity went out and the Bureau's fire department generator didn't start because the batteries were dead. So we're not doing much of a maintenance.
No, sir, that's not true. We have had all the generators maintained at the end of last year, beginning of this year. That was a battery issue. It has been corrected. That's something that we can't foresee. I mean, I drove my car here today and I go get in it and heaven forbid it won't start. I mean, that was a battery issue.
Do we have a maintenance program where you go start it once a week?
Yes, they go check everything they started. They check the fluids. They look at the fluids. So they do that.
Because from what I'm hearing, the batteries were 5 years old.
And I mean, look, it's possible, you know, as long as they sit there and crank up, you know, I mean, but they have been replaced.
Thank you, Mr. Roussel.
Yes, so you, the 775 buys 3 trucks?
We're taking 775 from, I'm asking from our account, and then Venture Global has 775 that they're putting up. It actually comes to about, what I'm asking for is about 775, just in case there was any overages or any change orders. But the 3 trucks are actually, I can give you a price, $1,514,118.84. So roughly 1.5 million.
And so the 775 is already in your budget from Venture Global to buy a truck?
Yes, sir. And I'm asking for an additional 775 so we can cover the 3.
And these are trucks on state bid?
Yes, sir. And what we've actually done, this truck here, spoke with purchasing, and it's on the Lamas contract, state contract. But I actually went out a little further to do due diligence, and we contacted E1. Their prices was higher. And then Ferrera out in Holden is another company that you heard of. They're also on a state bid. And I have an email from them, and it's actually to my captain who is heading up the program. And it says, as per our conversation earlier today, Verify wants to thank you for giving us the opportunity to quote you on the attached apparatus. Unfortunately, we will not be competitive based on the speculations that you have attached, and will not be quoting at this time. So we actually kind of went above and beyond to get prices, even if we didn't have to.
And the trucks that you're going to replace, where are they again?
One's going to be for Myrtle Grove, one's going to be for Lake Hermitage, that is for Venture Global, and I'm asking for the third one for Point Lahash.
East Point Lash?
Yes, sir.
And what are you gonna do with the other trucks that you're replacing?
Well, the truck that we have in Lake Hermitage right now, okay, it is 1980.
Just tell me what you're gonna do with them.
We're trying to make it a spare. We're gonna make it a spare. We don't have the spares.
And what about the other two?
The Myrtle Grove and Point LaHash trucks, they're exactly the same, and we're gonna take one of them and fix it up and make it a spare.
So you're gonna keep all three?
Yeah, we're gonna take the parts off the, probably the Point LaHash truck, and we're gonna put it on,
I'm trying to get to the point, though. Are you gonna get any out of your fleet? Or are you gonna keep them all in the fleet?
oh yeah, yes, sir, we need spares. We don't,
So you're gonna keep them all in the fleet?
yes, sir.
So this maintenance money that you were talking about a little while ago, that's gonna be an ongoing situation.
Well, it will be, but we have to have spares, and we also need it for ratings too. If a fire truck goes down, we don't have nothing to replace it with.
How many fire trucks do you have?
Well, throughout the parish, we have approximately, if you count rescue trucks, I would say anywhere from 25 to about 28 possibly. Right.
And so you're adding 3 more to that number?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, I can understand and appreciate the need for trucks. But there's a need for a firehouse at Woodlawn. We had $4 million in operational budget twice, and it was taken out and spent. And I don't hear of any plans to build a firehouse that is needed. It was inspected by the Board of Health. They condemned it because of the rats. The building is not usable, not healthy, not safe. So that means the people in the past knew that that building needed to be replaced and the money was appropriated. But with the wisdom of the council at that point in time, took the money and put it back into another phase of operation, ambulance. So I just cannot see that unless I have some assurance that there will be a firehouse at Woodlawn. And no trail or anything can supplant a firehouse. Everybody knows that, because it has a safe specification that is needed and training facility that'll help the firemen do their job. So I'm very dissatisfied at this point in not having a proposal before us for the firehouse, and I cannot support anything differently. And it's not that I don't understand there's a need. I understand the need very well. But I also have a greater need for the firemen on the East Bank at Woodlawn. They need to have a firehouse, period.
And yes, sir, we actually have a plan for that. You're right, we didn't have anything to do with, especially me, with the money being taken away. It was moved with council advisement, and they voted on it. And ever since then, you're right, the money has dwindled. We didn't have any money. Okay, we've been living, barely making it. Now with the tax has come up, our sales tax has increased. We do have a plan. Woodlawn Station right now, we have to get them out of the trailer. You're right, it's in bad shape. We have some money. So what we decided, I spoke with my director, I spoke with some of our employees, and do we, A, buy them a trailer because they need to get out, or B, what we want to do is remodel, not replace getting a fire station over. We need to get them out that fire station or that trailer. So we have gutted the upstairs of that fire station, already in progress. We're gutting it, we're going to fix it. Right now, after we finish that, we want to move on to Woodlawn and Engineers Road as well. In the budget, you will see that I put in money to repair these stations that have been vacant since 2012. Okay, so we're doing everything we can do. What we have done with Woodlawn is we're going to take the money instead of buying a trailer, we're going to put it into the fire station. That is not replacing getting the station. What we want to do is, in the next few years, as tax increases, we're putting a proposal back up for the new station over there. So we have it, and, I mean, it's on an agenda, it's on a list. I mean, it's nothing, we just can't do it right now. We need the money for the station because they have to get out. If there's a flood the next month, 2 months, next year, and we put them in a trailer and we lose trailer, what do? So that's why we put them in the firehouse. If somebody right now would sit there and say, hey, I will write a check for you for $10 million to build a station, it's still 2-3 years out. Soil samples, putting it there, plans. So I mean, I can't get you one today, even if somebody would write the check. It's still years down the road. But we are making progress with the station that they have. And we're not doing it to replace or not to buy the new, or build a new station.
Well, as far as the plans already have been drawn. That's done. It's been done. I've seen it. They showed it to me.
Right?
So that's not a problem then. The other thing is you're saying that you have a plan. I think we need to put some legislation together saying that you are putting money aside, if that's your desire, to build a Woodlawn firehouse. The other question, did you work with the Woodlawn Fire Department saying they're agreeable to what you say you're doing?
Yes, sir. I spoke with the chief and I saw him last week. He's been to the station 2 or 3 times and he was okay with it.
So Urban True is the chief?
Urban True, yes, sir.
So he agrees with it. So he's satisfied with that.
He was satisfied with the same thing with you. Hey, this is not replacing the fire station
Okay.
that we need.
But he still want the firehouse.
And with, we're rebuilding it or remodeling it for the time being.
But he still needs a firehouse.
I have spoke.
I mean, that's what he said, right?
Yeah, yes, sir. I have spoken.
All right.
I saw him last week or so. I stopped for lunch. He was in there. He stopped by the station. He was happy with the progress.
Well, it's hard for me to do this. It really is. And I want to support it. I really do. But we've been this passed over so many times. And sometimes you got to bite the bullet to do what you have to do. To get people to understand it's very important that these things need to be taken care of.
And I understand that once again, this third
Yeah.
truck we're trying to buy is for.
And it's not you. Believe me, it's not you. So don't take it as on it's you. But you you at the helm, so you got to deal with it. Yeah, understand. But personally, it's not you at all.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Okay.
telling you, we're trying to do it.
Mr. LaFrance?
Oh, I just wanted, Mr. Bartholomew to know that when the gentleman that called me, I spoke to him and I told him, I said, well, what about Mr. Bartholomew? What about his fire station? And I asked him when he come here that I was going to ask him to explain to what was going on. But I wanted you to know that I did thought about you.
Ms. LaHaye?
Yes, could I get a copy of the amendment one? I don't have that. Not right now, I mean, just so that I get it for my packet. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Blank?
Yeah, sure. So due to the FERC requirements that are causing Venture Global to donate the money for the fire truck, do those have to be housed within a certain distance of where the plant is at? I'm asking because I don't know how I feel about sending a brand-new fire truck to go sit in the salt water by Lake Hermitage.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we made the deal with. I mean, we told them, they didn't necessarily say it had to go there, but that's, since it would be responding second to the facility.
Sure. Got it.
Mr. Blank, we can look at that further, and if we can suffice putting a current fire truck that we have and putting a new one in a place where it's more protected, we can absolutely work that angle.
It just makes sense.
Right, we can.
Yes, sir.
We can change that if need be.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. LaHaye?
No, it just keeps coming back on.
Thanks. Any other questions? Audience? Machines are open. Passes 7, 1 abstention.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, the administration requests we move to 9F.
9F, Mr. Garrett.
Item 9F, an ordinance to amend the 2022 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget Coastal Zone Management Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Koknovich.
And we have changes for this.
Can you read the changes?
On line items 16 and 17, both amounts have been changed from $250,000 to $125,000.
And with those changes, I'll all fast for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Harborough. Any questions?
Yes,
Mr. LaFrance?
again, I really think we'll get our bigger bang for the bucks if we buy new tractors. When I spoke to Mr. Brad Brooks, he had informed me that at that time that Ascension Equipment had 2 Kubotas that they was he was contemplating on purchasing. And I think that if the levy inspection, it's time for a levy inspection. With the 2 new Kubotas, then you have 6 John Deeres, that's 8 15-footers. Take them off the road, put them on that levee, and start coming down. And with 8 15-footers, I don't think there wouldn't be a need for any of them to turn around. They really can make a big difference. They can really cut miles when you have 8 15-footers cutting on that levee. Cutting grass is not a sprint. It's not a sprint. We haven't been cutting the grass for months. So I don't see why we wouldn't be able to take the 15-footers off the road and put them on the levee and cut the levee. You're going to get your biggest bang for your bucks if you buy the 2 new tractors. And I yield.
When's the inspection?
October 16th. So, look,
2 weeks to get a tractor, we had October 16th.
We can get one by then, yeah.
I'm just saying that
we asked for a compromise if we would do 1 cut with the money and then buy 2 tractors with the rest of the money. So the goal is to get them as cut. If I get those 2 tractors and put them on the levee, it's quicker than I can get those, then I can cut down the mileage of what I'm paying the guy. I'm paying him by percentage of what he's cutting. So if I get those tractors faster, I'll put them on the levee also. The goal is to get the levees cut as fast as I can. Look, I ask you guys, just if we do 1 cut for 100 and we do the other 125 and buy the 2 new tractors. So I'm just asking for a compromise.
Hey, Mr. Blank?
Yeah, I mean, trying to privatize a government service like this doesn't seem like we're going to get the bang for the buck. I would rather take this money and put it into the pumping stations that are not at 100% than cut grass on the levee one time. Yield.
Any other questions?
I'm just going to say this. The public is going to eat you up with this. I'm telling you, the public is going to eat you up with this.
Any other questions? Audience? Machine's open. And it fails 4-2, 1 abstention.
Ask Mr. Brooks, can you get those tractors?
I got it, Mr. LaFrance. Mr. Brooks works for me.
Yeah, thank you.
Start back on the agenda.
Agenda item 7, building permits. 7A, construction permits. 1, Magnolia Terminal LLC, application number 2. Number 2, IMT Kinder Morgan, application number 2022-805, dated August 25th, 2022. Replace an existing drainage mooring dolphin with a new 60-inch breasting monopile, 18559 Highway 23, Port Sulphur. Councilmember LaFrance.
So often.
Mr. LaFrance offers their second. Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions? Machine's open. Can we take the other ones? You need yours out? Let's do it. You need yours out, I'm gonna take them all by global. No, I'm gonna do all the other ones in global. If you want yours deferred, I won't put it. Can we go with 2 to 8?
3 to 8. All right, 3, Shell Pipeline Company, application number 2022-814, dated August 30, 2022. Install sand/cement bags at 3 locations on an exposed 4-inch and 20-inch pipeline, main pass 69 area. Councilmember Bartholomew. Item 4, Harvest Midstream, application number 2022-815, dated August 30th, 2022. Remove an existing 8-inch pipeline and replace concrete matting over an existing 18-inch and 24-inch pipeline, Alliance area. Councilmember LaFrance. Item 5, Happy Jack Investments, Item 6, Hill Corp Energy Company, application number 2022-828, dated September 7, 2022, install pile clusters, drill the Ryobi prospect, and install well head protector, 4-inch flow line, and 3-inch gas lift line, Lake Washington Field. Councilmember Blank. Number 7, Hill Corp Energy Company, application number 2022-830, dated September 7, 2022, prop wash slip, install pile clusters, drill the Zebco prospect, and install well head protector, 4-inch flow line, and 3-inch gas lift line, Lake Washington Field. Councilmember Blank. And item 8, Hill Corp Energy Company, application number 2022-831, dated September 7, 2022, install a 30-foot by 50-foot production platform at the E8 production facility, Burwood Field area. Councilmember Cognovich.
Mr. Blink offers there a second. Second by Mr. LaFrance. Any questions? Machines open. And they pass 7-0 with 1 abstention.
Item 7B, citation.
Deferred.
Item 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions, and there are quite a few. I'll start. Kim, or-
I'll start. We have 2 for Councilmember Koknovich. The first one is a resolution authorizing and directing Danny Garrett, council attorney, to draft a cooperative endeavor agreement between the Plaquemines Parish Council and the Plaquemines Parish Tourism Board to manage and operate Fort Jackson, authorizing and directing Council Chairman Mark Koknovich to negotiate terms of said cooperative endeavor agreement and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The second is an ordinance to accept the portion of bid for K Exploration Company for mineral lease purposes on Parish Tract 22-1, covering parish-owned property located in all of that portion of Section 35, Township 20 South, Range 29 East, Buras Levy District, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, estimated to contain approximately 7.640 acres out of a total of 613.6 of acres, more or less, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Oh, that sounds good.
The next one is for Councilmember Bartholomew, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, reach C culvert closure, Phoenix to Bohemia project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is for Councilmember Arbro, an ordinance to amend the 2022 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget, interim employee training department, and the buildings general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The following 2 are for Councilmember Gui, an ordinance adopting the original operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the Plaquemines Parish government for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next one is also for Councilmember Gui, an ordinance to approve a pay plan and classification schedule adopted by the Civil Service Commission to be effective 30 days after approval by the Plaquemines Parish Council, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Have 3 by Councilmember Gui. An ordinance adopting the original operating budget of revenues and expenditures for the Plaquemines Parish government for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023, and ending December 31, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance establishing a policy of budgetary control for the operating budget of expenditures for the Plaquemines Parish government for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2023, and ending December 31st, 2023, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And a resolution establishing the dates, times, and places of public hearings on the proposed 2023 operating budget and on the proposed capital improvements budget covering a period of at least 5 years as submitted by the parish president, to authorize the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette pursuant to Section 7.02A and Section 7.05C of the Charter for Local Self-Government, Plaquemines Parish, or Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Have 1 for Councilmember Newberry, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of the property of Lot 1 and now or formerly no lease Barrios Jr. property, Paul Barrios Division, Sections 12 and 13, T15S, R24E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Jesuit Bend, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 1A and 1B, Paul Barrios Division, Section 12 and 13, T15S, R24E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated April 25th, 2022. The owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And one for Councilmember Blank, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of lots B2, B3, B4, B5 of Turpin Division and Plot C of B.J. Perez Tract, Ollie, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots C1, B.J. Perez Tract, and lots B2A, B3A, B4A, and B5A, Turpin Division, Ollie, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey, Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated February 15, 2022, the owner having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Blink?
Sure, I have one as well. Resolution directing the parish president to take efforts to investigate the options for foliage that may help alleviate the parish's grass cutting obligations along parish roads and levees and to provide for related matters.
Mr. Garrett?
So next, item 9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 6.01E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 1, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of a portion of Tract 5E, Bell Chase Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plat of survey of Cypress Park Subdivision, Phase 2B by Bryant Hammett and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated June 17, 2022, the owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance in the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaHaye.
Ms. LaHaye, you offer?
Yes.
Ms. LaHaye offers there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Arborough. Ms. LaHaye? Would you like?
If anybody has any questions, I have driven this, you want me to speak? I have driven this property 3 times. I've walked it once. They've passed all of their inspections, the water, the streets, the sewer, the fire, the drainage. It's a total of 45 lots. It's the second half, B2, half of the B section you'll see on your map, a total of 45 lots. There are ditches drained. There was a problem with some flooding that happened to the adjacent property owner on the original, not B, but on A. They dug ditches around. I had a question about all of the ditches surrounding the property. Those ditches will be maintained by a private HOA. So they will, I had concerns that an HOA on the property could change and then eventually not, the drainage ditches not be maintained. It's a private HOA. There are only 4 lots that will actually butt up against the Nance property. And so I feel like that they've done everything. I've checked everything. I've walked the grounds. All of the utilities are in except for electricity, which will not, power company will not come install the electricity until this is approved. So I'm offering it. I think they've done everything that they're required to do.
Any questions from the council?
I have a,
Mr. Bartholomew?
we are all right with infrastructures, water, sewage, and
Yes.
there's no problem with that? 'Cause I know we do
I
a lot of
checked,
stuff.
I checked with right now, I think the sewer is going to Orleans through Plaquemines. I checked with I think his name is, what's his name, Morgan, maybe?
Robert
I
Morgan.
talked to him, and he told me that there was no problem, that this could easily be handled. So I've done all of my research on it, and I've gotten no negative. I think Ms. Nance would probably like to speak on this subject. She is the adjacent property owner.
Are we have under contract with Orleans about the sewage situation?
Oh, I don't know.
Mr. Appley?
Do we have some kind of agreement with New Orleans, a contract?
I have not seen a contract with New Orleans. I know we get billed monthly by the Sewage and Water Board for the sewage that we send to their sewer
Right.
plant in Lower Coast.
I'm kind of concerned that we don't have an agreement. I think we need to have some kind of legal agreement.
I haven't seen it recently, or, I don't have it with me or whatever, but I'm pretty sure we have one if we're
I'd like to-
collecting invoicing.
I'd like to see it.
I'll get you a copy of it.
All right.
Any other questions? Audience?
Hey, I don't know.
State your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Melissa Nance, and I live in the middle of that neighborhood, if that's enough.
Yes, ma'am.
There is a few issues that I have, one which may seem a little bit late to be addressing, but one of the issues that I have is that there is an easement in front of my property. I have two separate pieces of property. There's an easement in front of it. I made a phone call to Mr. Russo one day because the builder took it upon himself to go on that easement and pull up all the trees off of that easement with no authority to do so. That left huge holes in the easement, and when we go to use that easement, we're gonna have to fill in all those holes. And then on top of that, at the moment, he is using that particular piece of property to dump the cement. And it's an easement in front of my property. He has 87 acres where he can dump what he wants to dump. I don't quite understand why these cement trucks are not really going back to their own properties, because that's what I've seen in the past. I don't understand why they're deciding to dump here. Typically, they use the water to wash it down, so that typically it doesn't come into a large clump. It doesn't always work so efficiently. I don't feel like it's fair to use that as a dump in front of my property. I think I think that if the reverse were going on, that I would be stopped from doing that. I would also, there's a 120-foot easement. I'm not sure that it has anything to do with these houses, though. Along Cutoff Road, there's 120-foot for Cutoff Road, and he has already cut some of the trees down, removed. He just pulls them up. They don't cut it, and they don't refill the land. He's already removed trees from that particular section. Another issue that I have is, I understand that there's a neighborhood being built around my home. I get it. There's a neighborhood being built around my home. I don't understand how in the last few years, last 20 years or so, we have not allowed ditches in the front yard. These front yards are not particularly long. Some of the nicer homes have longer front yards. But the children don't have very much room to play in. There is no sidewalk, but I understand in Belle Chase, sidewalks are not in all of our neighborhoods, so I'm not complaining about a lack of sidewalk. But I am complaining about the fact that children in their own front yards have a ditch at their front yard. The only reason that ditch is there, they will tell you that the ditch is there because it's good for water flow. But all the other neighborhoods, if you were to put two ditches on both sides of Good News Avenue, I think everybody would be hugely upset. I don't know what's going to happen with the drainage behind, because this particular map does not show where the drainage canal behind me is going to, where it's going to go. Right now, it's traveling a few blocks. For the moment, it's working just fine. Although I have to say, there are pictures of culverts that are half filled with mud. My main request is that you consider issues in ditches. I don't understand why we're putting ditches in people's front yards. That's just not acceptable in Belchase. These people are paying $350,000 and $400,000 for these homes. The only thing I can see is that he had special relationships with people on the board, and that they allowed him to put ditches there which have never been allowed in the past. At the moment, I'm just asking that the dumping stop in front of my home, and that he fill the holes that he has used. And I just want to say something to this town about how much my family has had to deal with this particular developer. My daughter lives across the lake, and she has had 2 floods with $250,000 each, because she's on Bedeco Creek, and he built a neighborhood at the base, the waterway was going down to a swamp. The swamp was mostly water, and he built a huge neighborhood in that area. And it's affected my daughter across the lake, which I realize is nobody else's business. But what I am saying is, he is not necessarily doing all the right things under all the right circumstances. And I request that you take care of the easements and ensure that he doesn't remove any trees without your consent. Thank you.
Rennie, who owns the easement?
I do have one more thing to say. When he used that easement, you guys gave him orders to put the ditch in. The ditch has been working, okay? But he took 4 feet of that easement. I need that easement to turn big trucks in the future. He took 4 feet of that easement as a ditch, and I don't believe he had your permission to do that either. And I really believe that should be rectified.
Who would own them easements?
I'd have to do a little research on I don't have the exact language of the easement in front of me and what all its purposes are, but obviously he couldn't do anything that would interfere with the purpose of the easement. I'm assuming it's for the benefit of the parish, and so therefore we could, restrict use as long as the restriction is for the benefit that was provided.
I don't know much about Belchase, but I know I got ditches down the road, and I'm not an uppity person, but ditches are good down the road. Any other?
Especially when you get cut.
Yep. Any other questions?
I agree with you with the ditches down the road. If you don't have a high density of houses, it's not practical when you don't have a high density of houses. When you have a high density of houses, you also have a high density of small children and people in general. And in Belchase, we have a lot.
Well, you need to come up to the mic if you want to. But if the person's going to buy a house or property with a ditch in it, that's up to them.
All the parks, I'm not a fan, I would never buy, but all the parks in Plaquemines has ditches, and I believe the new Planters Canal subdivision along Intercoastal is the same way as well.
Well, one, I'd have never bought in there, because when I was a kid passing there to go to Algiers, that was marsh, that was water, so I would have never bought there, but I'm not buying in Belchase. Ms. LaHaye?
Most all of
It's-
the,
it's-
I have a brother-in-law and sister-in-law that live in Betticoat. I also have a sister that lives in Lorangia, huge. All of the North Shore are beginning to build ditches in the front. The residents are welcome to fill that in. They have to put their own pipe, which is what my sister has done. They're welcome to do that. But for drainage purposes, all of them in their many of the subdivisions now, they're draining with ditches in the front. And that's the developer. The person doesn't have to buy it if they don't like it.
No argument there. But this is a new development as a result, especially here. This is a new development, and it started with this particular developer who had a lot of assistance.
Thank you. Any other questions? Would you like to defer for Mr. Burris to look
I mean, if
over
you have
the?
specific questions y'all want me to research, I can research it and report back. What I see on the map is that it's a drainage servitude, and so as long as the contractor isn't doing anything that would interfere with drainage, I don't think that there would be anything impermissible going on.
Can he, you can't come back up, ma'am. You can only come up once, but if she's got a servitude in front of her house and he's pulling up trees and dumping
Well,
stuff on it.
that's a different issue. I mean, if she has a servitude in front of her house, first of all, I'd need to know who the beneficiary is of the servitude, who the dominant estate is, who it's for the benefit of, and I would have to look at that. The servitude I'm talking about is a servitude that's part of the re-subdivision, so which is a drainage servitude. So as long as he wasn't doing anything to interfere with those purposes, with drainage purposes, and as long as he's acting consistently with what engineering has allowed pursuant to the plans and the specs, then there's no problem. Now, she's accusing him of maybe doing something interfering with that. I can have the engineering department go out there and look at it and make sure that what he's doing is what was part of the original specs and plans. But if she has some other separate servitude, that's something that I would have to research because I wouldn't have that available to me right now.
He's pulling up trees and dumping the runoff of the washout from the cement trucks.
Well, he could not do anything to interfere with any private servitude rights she may have. But I don't know. I mean, I'm just listening to what she's saying. I thought she was talking about the servitudes that were part of the re-subdivision.
I don't know if I can speak.
Yeah.
I think Miss Nance called, she went out and stopped the people from cutting the trees, removing the trees, and they were allowed to come back on and continue their work when it was investigated, right? Am I correct? So they don't, but it's not a servitude that is yours. It's not, it's a surface servitude for what, the parish or for the builder?
It's a drainage servitude.
Yeah, it's a drainage servitude.
Well, the green part showing here is that it's a drainage servitude.
Yes.
All of the servitudes that exist around your property have the word drainage written on them. So that would mean they're drainage. Well, I don't see any servitudes on your side of the property line. I only see servitudes on the developer's side of the property line.
It is.
Where he was required to put a drainage servitude in order to drain around your property. And what I'm saying is, for that drainage servitude, he can conduct whatever activities he wants on the drainage servitude, as long as he's not interfering with the actual drainage of the property.
It's a servitude for me to have access to my property, and he doesn't need that, he's never needed that.
Well, the only servitude I see is the 30-foot road servitude that. Okay, well, that's a separate, different issue. I'm talking
Well,
about.
Can we
that
defer?
road-
Can
that
we
road
defer this?
servitude- Well, I just want to be clear. That 30-foot servitude she's talking about that connects to Old Cutoff Road is not part of this re-subdivision. The servitude I was talking about, the drainage servitude, is part of the re-subdivision. So she has problems with 30-foot road. I have no information about who the benefit of that is for, what the restrictions were on it, or anything like that, so I can't comment on it. But the servitude that's part of the re-subdivision is a drainage servitude, and the point I'm making is, as long as they're not doing anything to hamper drainage, they're not running afoul of anything.
Donald Valley, you all may recall that this is not a new issue with you all. When this subdivision was being developed, there was complaints from the developer draining their property onto this lady's property that was in the rears. You all sent them back to the drawing boards and talked about putting servitudes in and putting drainage plans in. Again, it's coming up. And he is a quality developer, without question on that. But I think it goes a little deeper into these servitude issues and the means of ingress and egress out of these pieces of properties, as well as the trees all being cleared and the excess, I guess you call it the cement spillage out the dump trucks, the washouts going on. All that has been going on. I don't know if you saw it at all.
That will be cleaned up. I talked to the attorney about it, and I have investigated this. These lots are still being developed.
It's a tough call, and I'll tell you, the lady came to me one time, and I said, go see you. You're the council person on this thing.
I've driven back
And
there.
you're good at
I've
what you
done
do,
everything.
because I've watched you with many,
Right.
many years. However, it's a bigger issue. They probably, and again, you want to defer it for a while. I think people need to get together and figure out where these servitudes of ingress and egress
We've
go.
tried. I've offered a
Are you
meeting
are
in
you
my
happy with it?
office, everything. Listen, these people, and I wasn't, I mean, they had to convince me. I walked it, I drove it. We couldn't get down Cutoff Road. It was locked. I couldn't get down that. I drove down 3 gravel roads trying to get back here that I had to back out, because once I got way in, there was no place to turn around. I didn't really know where I was. I drove all of this. It's all drained. I mean, they have done their permits, everything has been approved, and, and it's only 45 additional lots, and only 4 of those lots actually back up against her property. Or she's saying the front, I'm not sure where the front and the back of her property is. But,
I know you all talked about, there's been a lot of issues talking about what is being developed back there, swale ditches in front, small lots. But you're absolutely right. If somebody doesn't want to buy it, they don't have to buy it. That is what's there. The big issue back there was a homeowners association and who's going to maintain this. These are not dedicated streets, and not dedicated sewer. All the people that are buying houses are going to have an ongoing perpetual obligation to maintain all of that. The adjoining property owner has complained to the council numerous times, and you all send them back to the drawing boards, go sit with the developer and meet with them. Well, I've lent money to developers for years. After a while, the developers don't want to talk to anybody. They just walk away. I don't know if that's the case here, et cetera, but you have a property owner that's been back there for a lot of years. I think she's due some consideration that the parish attorney could look into that easement or whatever servitude of ingress and egress could be before you all make a final decision.
well, we've done
And
this.
that's all, I'm not gonna get.
We've done this, Mr. Valet. I mean, I have done this.
So
And
it's,
these people have come forward. I mean, this, and I'm not, I have driven back there. They have the drainage servitudes. And I know she likes trees, and she doesn't want trees down, and she doesn't like a subdivision going up adjacent to her. But these people did all of their permits. They've gone through all of the steps. The attorney actually offered to come here. I didn't think it was necessary. He could have answered more questions maybe than myself. But this has been going on, and this is only for the addition. This is 2B. 2A was approved and completed. They split up B into A and B. This is just the B part.
So the servitudes are private, but they are drainage servitudes, and they were approved by the engineering department as built, as required pursuant to the specs. Otherwise, they would not have been submitted to a meter for approval.
Right? And the third concern I had was if their HOA was the person that was going to be responsible for the drainage ditches. It isn't. They have hired a private HOA who also does the parks. And I think that there's another big subdivision that they are doing. It's a professional group, and they take care of it, not the residents where the HOA would change. They're responsible for it.
Mr. LaHaye, please, I don't question you. I sent them to you because I know your qualifications and your background. You know what you're doing, okay? So I'm just saying, if you've done your due diligence on it, which you appear that you have.
I have.
Okay, I don't doubt that. All things back to parish attorney, they're your constituents, so I'm gonna sit down on that. Let's go.
You want to go with it, Ms. Lang? You want to go with it?
Yes, I mean, I don't know.
Any other questions? Machine's open. That fails 4-1 with 2 abstentions.
Item B, an ordinance to approve a new pay plan and classification schedule adopted by the Civil Service Commission on August 4, 2020.
Defer.
C, an ordinance to amend the 2022 Waterworks and Sewage Fund operating expenditure budget, Waterworks and Sewage Operations Department, and the 5-year capital improvements plan, various projects, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto, deferred and carried over from 8/25/22 and 9/8/22. Councilmember Gooey.
I'll offer,
Dr. Gui offers there a second.
We have a substitute also.
yes.
Is there a second? Or you want to read this? Read the changes?
Would you like it to switch over to, back to you, Dr. Gui?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd like to read it.
On line, it's Dr. Gui's again now. I'll just say it that way. On line 1, general fund and has been added. On line 2, revenue and has been added. And at the end of the section, on line 3 and 4, and the 5-year capital improvements plan, various projects has been removed. On line 6, it's the operating revenue and expenditure budgets now,
Let's see.
and we are removing and the 5-year capital improvement plans, various. On line 11, the 2022 general fund and Waterworks and Sewage Fund, operating revenue and expenditure budgets has been added. Line 13 and 14, at the end of the past sentence, it says it's been added by transferring from the general fund unreserved undesignated fund balance. In the first chart, $815,238 has been changed to $665,238. In the second chart, the object number has been changed to 535.305. The description has been changed to technical services software support. And the entirety of section 2 has been removed, and section 3 now becomes section 2.
And with that, do you offer?
I'll offer.
Dr. Gui offers there a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Alborough.
Does everyone on the council have those changes in writing? Before we move forward, I want to make sure everyone has the information in writing. Does anyone does not have it in writing? Okay, I would, due to the complexity of this, I'm turning this over to the administration.
This is the legislation we spoke about 2 weeks ago. When we originally offered this legislation, we were taking money from certain projects. $300,000 was coming from the Bureau Sewer Plant. There was money coming from a water line project in Port Sulphur. It was finance's desire to clean up some of the projects that had a little bit of money in them and make them go away. We had a lot of resistance on the projects that we were taking money from, so we got rid of that, and all of the money that is needed to make up what the difference is in the water and sewer fund is coming out of unreserved, undesignated now. This money is for the maintenance cap overage and for expenses incurred for chemicals additionally, and also for software support for water billing.
Mr. LaFrance?
So the money and the relocation in Port Sulphur, the 20, is still there,
Yes, sir.
okay? And we are dealing with the price of chemicals?
We have a maintenance cap overage, mostly due to Hurricane Ida. So we have to, by contract, we have to pay the maintenance cap overage. And that money, a large portion of that money is reimbursable by FEMA. And Rostan has the invoices for that and is working on that currently to try and get us reimbursed.
You don't have a number?
Of what's reimbursable?
for the amount of chemicals.
For the amount for the chemicals. So the maintenance cap overage is $415,000. The difference, the $250,000 difference is for the chemicals, the additional chemical expenses.
All right, you.
Mr. Roussel?
So of this, so of the 665,000, 250,000 is for chemicals,
That's correct, sir.
and that is reimbursable?
Chemicals is not reimbursable.
You said Ida was doing a PW, or you,
Part of the maintenance cap money that we owe is reimbursed.
I'll tell you what, just give us a breakdown of the 665.
415,000 is for a maintenance cap overage that we are required by contract to pay to Infomark. And the balance, 250,000, is for the increased cost of chemicals.
Okay, and so we owe this to Infomark. Mr. Morgan, you have some information that you can share with us to tell us about this chemical and about this cap,
Overage cap.
the overage cap.
Robert Morgan, Infomark. During IDA, the parish, on the budget side, the chemicals, we actually had to use the maintenance cap to pay for the overage on the chemicals. The parish talked to the director, and we actually purchased chemicals through the maintenance cap. So that put us over our yearly maintenance cap.
The 415,000, that is part of chemicals also?
Yes, sir.
And the 250,000 is chemicals also?
The other part will be IDA overtime. Like Todd said, that is reimbursable, that we have submitted reports into administration to be reimbursed. So during IDA, all of our work orders is documented, the hours that we spent, the time replacing, things like that. So I guess that's the part that's going to be reimbursable, right, Todd?
So I guess I'm trying to find out how much of this 665,000 is being submitted to FEMA as possibly being reimbursable.
Just over 200,000.
That's it?
From my-
That is what we have found that is eligible that Rostan is submitting.
And so the other 465,000 is to the contract?
I guess that's for the chemical that when we purchase chemical, yes, sir. Well, 200 and something thousand. Our overage is 413,000.
400, yeah, it's 415,000 is the maintenance cap overage, which is what we are required to pay by contract.
I got that, but when you say the 415,000.
Of the 415,000, there's about $200,000 that is reimbursable by FEMA that we are currently working on getting reimbursement for. The other money above and beyond the 415,000 that we owe to Infomark is to put in the budget for the increased cost of chemicals.
I think there's some confusion. You purchased chemicals because of Ida. That's what was said.
No, not correct.
No, but that's
No.
not what was said. And, okay.
The maintenance cap overage.
And
we
it
have
went
an
into the
invoice.
maintenance cap when you made those purchases. That's what I heard.
Yes.
No?
Well, the chemicals this year did go up, and the parish chemical the fund that the parish had wasn't adequate enough to support the chemicals. So we ended up purchasing the chemicals.
You did.
Yes, out of the maintenance cap.
And we giving you some of that back in the 415?
That's in the maintenance cap in the contract.
Yeah.
Part of the contract allows for Infomark to get a maintenance cap allowance monthly. Through the maintenance cap, the year that ended in May, because that's the contract month, prior year, they sent us an invoice for $415,000. That's what they were over on their maintenance cap. And this is for expenses, a lot of expenses that were due to Hurricane Ida. And it was the reason I was told that they were over their maintenance cap. The additional monies, the $250,000, is going into this year's budget to make up for the difference in the cost of chemicals So we didn't budget enough money in this year's budget for chemicals. We'll need the 250 to make it till the end of the year.
So why is it going into the contracts?
Because that's where finance put it. It's still in the operating portion.
I know, but we kind of dissect this number, and it would be a lot easier if we would have seen that we short on the budget for 250,000 for chemicals, and the balance would have went to your contract for maintenance overage, minus what we owed you for chemicals. This gets really confusing and complicated on trying to dissect what this really means, because at the end of the day, when it comes to the water rate increases, they're gonna say, your contract has gone up to the roof, so we need to cover it.
Well, if we got 250,000 for chemicals, right?
Yes, sir.
200,000 from FEMA,
Yes, sir.
where's the other 215?
That was a maintenance cap overage.
And when,
What was that overtime for? What did that go to?
It's not necessarily overtime, it's things that they have to purchase under a maintenance cap. So they might have purchased valves, they might have purchased pumps for sewer lift stations after Hurricane Ida. They might have purchased controls for sewer lift stations after Hurricane Ida that were flooded. And any of those controls, any of those pumps, any of those things that they use to maintain the water and sewer system, they use that maintenance cap money for.
So the 200,000 from FEMA was all overtime, or did it include pumps and?
It included everything. It included everything.
well, we talk about 215 just now for Ida, and then we talk about 200. What are we really talking about?
Is any of that for the new meters that y'all had to go fix?
Some of it is.
Do y'all have a breakdown on that? How much should we have back charged Aquametric for faulty installation that y'all had to go clean up?
But we have 7 pages of work orders on Aquametric, so a lot of that stuff is, some of that money was taken out of the maintenance cap, so that did deplete the maintenance cap too. But the number, like I said, we're still working on, it's like 7 pages of call-outs for Aquametric.
So let me ask you this, are we gonna get to a number that needs to be back charged to Aquametric? Because I've brought this up over the last couple of years, that we needed, and I'm back to Mr. Epley, to make sure that we back charged Aquametric for work that you did that they should have done. Do we have an estimate of that? Are we gonna get a number for that eventually?
Yes, sir, we'll get you a number.
And so, are we gonna back charge Aquametric, or are we gonna wind up?
I'll be happy to go back to Aquametric and ask for money that needs to be reimbursed if it's reimbursable. There are things that are in Aquametric's contract that say what a particular installation would be. And some of the things that Inframark did, as in changing out a curb stop, is not included in Aquametric's contract. If the curb stop was leaking, Aquametric was directed to call water billing. Water billing sent a work order to Inframark. Inframark went out and changed the curb stop. Now, I am not aware of very many instances where Aquametric went out and fixed a water meter or put washers in a water meter or did something that was the fault of Aquametric. I've asked for that information from Inframark, and I have not received it yet. So as soon as I receive the work orders from Inframark that say what it was that Inframark did, if they were cleaning up installations that Aquametric did, I will certainly go back to Aquametric and tell them that they owe us for those installations. We currently do not have, I don't have the work orders that say what Inframark did or did not do with those installations. I can tell you that we did not have very many instances where Inframark was doing something that was something that Aquametric should have done. And if there were, I'm not aware of them. If individual council members called Inframark and asked them to go over and do something with an install, I'm not aware of that. But as soon as I get the paperwork from Inframark, we'll certainly go after Aquametric if it is warranted.
I know that I have called over the years and talked to Inframark and come to find out that Aquametric had put the meters in backwards type thing for a shopping center.
Again, that's not something I'm aware of. If you called Inframark directly for something like that, that's not something I would have knowledge of.
Well, I thought that, over the years of asking you to back charge Aquametric, you might have had some communication with Infomark to see about doing that, but obviously that we hadn't gotten there yet.
I have asked Infomark for the work orders that pertain to Aquametric.
Done.
Yeah, still, it's not clear how much, it sounds to me like some of this is reimbursable, some of it's not, but as far as understanding how much is and how much is not, I still don't understand what that is. You say 200,000, then we talk about 215. It's just not clear to me, but anyway.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes. I'm glad to see you, Mr. Martin. A lot of questions I have for you. What is the current status of the Bootville water plant with dealing with the chlorine?
We doing we gotta stay on this subject, but
What is the current status of the chlorine? This is what we talking about, huh? The price of the increase of the chlorine, huh? Yeah, chlorine is chemical. So what is the current status of it?
Our chemicals.
Yes.
Right now, like Mr. Epley said, a lot of it wasn't. I don't think a lot of it is in the budget for the upcoming increases that's going on. The chemicals has went up drastically over the years with inflation and with COVID and stuff. So getting the budget for the chemicals is primarily on the parish to pay for the chemicals, but it wasn't budgeted to purchase the new chemicals. So we took that money out of our maintenance cap.
And we are dealing with Waterworks? That's the subject, Waterworks? Give us a status report on the post-sulfur water plant.
Troy, what would you do better? Well, I know that tomorrow we are removing motors that we rewired out of Port Sulphur for the upcoming storm season. So we are taking precautions that the stuff that we have purchased, the Infomark has put in, we are removing them just in case we do have a storm surge or something like that at Port Sulphur. So we will not have to replace those motors again. But Troy have been working hand in hand with going on with Port Sulphur right now.
Troy Phillips, Field Services Manager, Infomark. Right now, we have the raw water pump motors. We have them installed but not wired yet. We're going to pull those out tomorrow, and the transfer pumps, and also the backwash pumps and slush pumps and what have you. We had set those in place, anticipating us actually getting the plant up and running. And right now, like I said, it's still in the process of engineering and trying to get the stuff, basically what we're going to do with the plant to get it up and running. We have a general idea, but right now, because of the event coming to the Gulf of Mexico, we're going to go ahead and yank the stuff out that we put in and put it over at the Belle Chase water plant for storage. And after the event, we're going to see, what the engineers come up with as far as, what's the next step of getting Port Sulphur back up and running.
What is taking so long to get the post-sulfur water plant up and running?
It's still in engineering, actually process right now.
Jackson, Mississippi flooded, went underwater. The city water went underwater. That's less than a month ago. Their water plant up and running. Our water plant went underwater, and it's over a year and a month. We still don't have it up and running. What's the difference?
Right now,
Anybody can answer that?
they put it in the engineer's hands. We discussed different options. Some of it was hazardous mitigation, and it kind of went back and forth a little bit to get the best final product. So right now, it's still in the engineer's hands. I spoke to Trigon about the Infomark purchase of 3 VFDs for the transfer pumps. So that's done. That's a big chunk. That's actually, we got that in storage. But as of now, we're still in the engineering firm. The process of basically saying how we're going to handle it and when we're going to start.
Can I ask
Go ahead, but
clarify?
I'm not finished.
So the plant's been down for a year and a few weeks now. There's electric motors that are being reinstalled almost exactly where they were at, or in a place where they have to be removed in anticipation of tropical weather.
Yeah, what happened was when the storm first hit,
We removed all the electric motors that went underwater. We sent it in to get repaired. We got those repaired, we got them back. We're in the process of actually putting them in place to get ready for the startup. They decided, well, we're going to get this engineered because most of the plant went under quite a few times. And it's to a point now where you just can't bring it back from the dead anymore. And we found that out when we started digging into it and, figuring out how we're going to handle it. The newer part wasn't as bad as the older section. The newer part I'm referring to is the raw water pump house. That was installed a few years back when the barge hit the intake. So that part was fairly newer than the rest of the plant. The original plant, I think, was put in 59, 61, whatever, something like that. It's been underwater quite a few times since Katrina. That part was worse than we actually thought until we started digging into it.
See, I was under the assumption that this long delay was, just as you mentioned, maybe some hazard mitigation techniques, some best practices where we can get these electric motors up off the ground, but you're telling me that they have to be removed so they don't go underwater again, correct?
Correct.
Even though the plant's been out of service for a year, and are we ever going to get to a place where we've got a reliable water plant that can go through a hurricane?
Mr. Blank, we will have preliminary designs for this water plant next week. It is being designed. We did not start the design immediately after the event. In fact, there wasn't funding for this plant until June of this year, and we immediately started working on getting the design started. So, funding has been an issue. It's been an issue. Everyone here knows it's been an issue. You're talking about mitigation. If we had it to do the right way, we would spend $7 million on getting this water plant back up and running, but we have $2.5 million. So we're going to spend the $2.5 million, and we're going to get it back up, making 3 million gallons a day.
Mr. LaFrance?
Projected time when this going, well, they're still doing plans. How is the salinity at Bootville water plant?
Right now, we're running around 360 milligrams per liter.
My blood pressure
You
been
said-
high.
You said your people are starting to taste salt,
Yeah, I am.
so
You normally start, I think there's been a study done that I think you can taste it at 250 milligrams per liter. So we are getting to that threshold that we won't be able to take the salinity out the water.
So what is your plan to combat that?
Pray. It's going to be tough because the facility we have at Bootville it's not a reverse osmosis facility. So we don't have any to take it out using the current situation that we have. So that's something I have to talk to administration about. I know before my time, I know they barge water in, but if the river gets so low that we can't take it out, we have to barge water in, or I have to speak to administration about that if we get to that level.
And currently, you are providing water for Bootville all the way up to where? Port Sulphur?
Yes, sir. Both of them are combined. Bell Chase.
So do we have the money in the budget to pay for that, to barge in water?
No, we do not.
So there's gonna come a point in time that the people on the southern end not gonna have any water.
You're gonna have water. You just like
Salty water.
It's gonna be salty. It's not. You'll taste it a little bit. It's something that the facility is not. That facility is very old, and like I said, it's not a reverse osmosis facility. So you cannot take the chlorides out of the water at the facility that we currently have. We do have ponds that we can pull from, but they have to be approved by DHH, and those ponds are really clear. So we need the facility actually works off the darker the muddy the river, the best producing water we can make, and the river's really clear right now. So the Gulf water is coming up. So that's going to be hard to take out. That salinity.
So you would say it is very important that we get Port Sulphur water plant up and running.
Yes, sir.
Or the people in the southern end, or the people will be suffering from salty water.
Well, like I said, we're gonna have to try to, we will look at the barging. The barging has to be the next step if it gets to that level. So, I know back in the day they did, but I wasn't here.
Bootville making about 1 million gallons a day. And the water from Belchase is actually 1.5 million or something like that a day. So I think Bootville's at 800 gallons a minute, and Port South is getting like 1,000 from Belchase. So you combine it. So hopefully that, like I said, we need to get Port South up and running to be able to combat this. You know, we can still put Bootville online, making a whole lot less, you know, but anyway.
But you, on the new plans, which I'm going to show you haven't seen, but the foundation for the pumps would be elevated?
No, the foundation for the electrical feed coming into the plant, that will be elevated.
But not the pumps?
Not the pumps, no.
So if you get a flood, then the pumps will go underwater again?
Well,
Wow.
no. Like that, well, like
Not
we're
the
doing right
service
now, what we're doing right now, the new pumps that we have installed in motors, we're actually taking them out. So back in the day, when they had it before, they engineered and Trigon looked at it, the pumps were stationary. So we're actually gonna try to we're removing them this time. So like I said, we reworked them, but they have quick connects where we can take them off and things like that. So that's a part of the plan as well. It's just like what we do at Myrtle Grove. So we pull all the lift stations out, we pull all the panels out to try to save that cost, the money that we have put in to Port Sulphur. So those motors has been re-engineered to be able to remove fastly. Now that will take your plant out of service, you know, for a period of time in a state of emergency or whatever. That will take that plant out of service, but those pumps are being designed, if I'm not mistaken. Well, the pump and the motor has been designed right now that we can take them apart. So we have to shut the facility down in a storm event.
So in the event of a storm, when you remove the pumps, you block the water in, right?
Block
You have to block the
Yes,
water
sir.
in.
Yes,
huh?
sir. Yeah,
Block
valve it
the
in.
water in. So where our water pressure come from then?
It is plans, like I said, the booster station at Ravina Road, that's coming, hopefully.
How long that's gonna be?
That I don't know. I don't know, but
The service pumps always be intact. The service pumps are located on top of the reservoir. That never did go underwater since, since we had hurricanes. So that's gonna be intact. And the reservoir itself, actually, it's elevated, so the water can't get into the reservoir. So you're gonna have I forgot how many million gallons tank it is. So you have water standing by to go back online, after the event's over with. Generator power, or if Entergy has power, then we just go back on Entergy power.
If it doesn't come contaminated?
But the water in the reservoir is not gonna be contaminated. So
How
it'll be blocked in.
high?
It's over 12 foot. It's about 15 some odd feet high.
Oh, we had,
If that happened,
we're in some bad shape.
so water never did enter the reservoir. Not as long as I've been here about through a hurricane. The worst I've seen it was Katrina.
Oh, yeah. Did anybody go and look at the clamps on the crossing at Port Sulphur behind the YMCA?
Clamp,
What is the status of that?
crossings,
Yeah,
or the 20-inch crossing.
right.
Yeah, we had that repaired years ago.
Yeah, we put a clamp on it, huh?
No, we redid the whole crossing. We took it all out. We did the blocking. We did the poles. Everything got replaced.
for that one break, yeah.
Yeah.
And how much money do we have for that project to relocate that 20-inch line?
The crossings?
Yes,
We're just gonna relocate to the River Road.
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't have the exact number, Mr. LaFrance. It was listed on the legislation previously. We took that out.
I think that project, last time I talked to engineering department, I think that project was around $1 million.
Short.
Yeah, short. I'm not sure. I know Miss Audrey had moved money, but I don't think that's enough money to do that project.
I think it's very important that we move on that project. And I think at the next council meeting, I will introduce legislation to start moving forward with that project. Because it's very important for the people on the southern end. And I think the people on the southern end, they need fresh water. We need to have drinking water. And Occasionally, we do take a bath now and then. Huh? I yield. Thank you for the information.
Dr. Gouy?
Appreciate y'all coming. I appreciate the work that y'all do.
After this discussion, I think that council members would be more comfortable if we got a reading of where this money was over. In other words, how did you come up with 665 plus thousand? And just if you could show that, I think it would answer some of the questions here. We had 100 here, we had 75 here. When you add all the numbers up, it comes to the number you've got. I know you have that information, just a matter of putting it in a way we can look at it. Is that something we can get done within the next 2 weeks?
Sure.
You understand what I'm saying? No?
Sir?
You understand what I'm saying?
I do, yes, sir.
Okay.
I can tell you, I have an invoice from Infomart for $415,000.
Well-
That invoice is for maintenance cap overage, that's what they invoiced us, and that's what they want us to pay. And the additional money is for chemicals. Now, as far as their maintenance cap overage, if you want us to break that down, I will certainly ask Infomart to break down that invoice, and we will provide that information to the council.
I got it. You got it?
Yes, sir.
Can we have that in 2
Yes,
weeks?
sir.
And I think we can get this thing put behind us?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I'll defer. Richard?
Mr. LaFrance?
I yield.
I have one on it, since it's got sewage on it too. You know, I got a problem with that Bureau sewage plant.
Yeah.
That big tank's leaking. I hope it ain't sewage on somebody's property. Because every time he cuts grass, he gets rained on.
I think we have to work on that to get that addressed. Yeah, it should, yeah, it's one of the capital projects for that. But we looked into it, it's just where the filter comes together, the wall around it. It might be a simple fix just to stop that leak until the capital, improvements are made. I'm gonna look into that tomorrow again to make sure, see where we at with it.
All right, thank you. Mr. Blink?
I think I'm gonna need one of Mr. LaFrance's pressure pills here. I'm like nearly shaking at the condition of the water system in Plaquemines Parish right now. I'm highly concerned.
Me too.
Where's the sense of urgency?
What do you mean, where's the sense of urgency?
Where is
I've been sending you guys emails for 3 years about the infrastructure issues we have in Plaquemines Parish. I haven't gotten any phone calls. We haven't done had any conversations. Dr. Goui's the only one that's had a conversation with me about this stuff. And we could spend $100 million tomorrow on water and sewer infrastructure in Plaquemines Parish. We don't have it.
Yes, because y'all have been smacking the button to privatize the whole system. We're not willing to
Never,
do it.
never.
Mr. Blanket, you directed that at us, myself. Mr. Epley has provided the information. He's constantly emailing you guys and telling you the problems that we have. The problems that we have is money, okay? It has been for a long time, all right? But, we keep getting off base. I thought we deferred this, but we keep going on and on.
You deferred, Dr. Gouy?
Well, some comments were made that I'd like to address.
I'd like to have a comment.
I'd be happy to have a conversation with any of you at any time. Anybody wants to sit down, I'd be glad to sit down and we can talk about water and sewer infrastructure. I have not gotten a call from anybody.
Look, when we ask for things, we're told it's not our job to stay away. We're legislative. Here it is. We're a year later.
What did you ask for, Mr. Blink? I'd be happy to provide it.
I'll have a very long list coming up.
Absolutely.
I'm really concerned. It looks like here we might be 110 milligrams over the limit of how much sodium is allowed in the water. We're pushing out the door. What is this doing to the inside of the system? What does it look like when there's a bunch of salt inside the system? What does that do to the infrastructure? I've got a lot of questions.
We'd be happy to answer every one of them.
Mr. Bartholomew?
I'm very much concerned about water. We have water problems on the East Bank, but the main thing is pressure to fight fire. We had a fire on the East Bank and potlatch area, a little north of here, but didn't have enough pressure from the water to fight the fire. The last fire we had in Braithwaite, the same thing. We could never fight the fire because we had enough pressure. We could never hook up 2 fire trucks to the pumps. It collapsed because of that. Now, that's been said before. So we need a plan to be developed to see what we're going to do to combat the existence of these iniquities. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, a lot of this discussion revolving around chemicals. I have asked y'all to renegotiate the contract with them so that they have national buying power to address the chemical issue. Have you done that?
Mr. Roussel, I've sent a letter, an email to Infomark asking for them to come to the table to renegotiate the contract, and I haven't gotten a response yet. So, no, I haven't done it. You are correct. I have asked. I will continue to ask, and we'll try to carry out your wishes.
Well, I would hope that you wouldn't say that no one has contacted you, because I've brought that up many times, and when we make that blanket statement, you know, I've been pounding on this for a long time. So to say that nobody has contacted you and act like we're all sitting up here dreaming is not an accurate statement.
But yeah, you've made the statement that you want us to renegotiate the contract on many occasions. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Troy and Robert.
Are we gonna see you at the next council meeting?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
This item's deferred.
Okay, 9E, an ordinance to rescind and annul and set aside ordinance number 20-106, section 2, which created a mosquito control user fee and otherwise
Deferred.
provide. Item F and G have already been handled. Item H, a resolution to amend and as amended, readopt resolution number 19-9 and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kokavich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. This is to replace Tommy on signing the checks, right? Any questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9I, an ordinance to rescind and annul and set aside ordinance number 22-104 and 22-105 adopted on August 25th, 2022, and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kokavich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Arborough. This is money we getting from Zeta.
Yes, this is something finance requested. This money is already included in the overall budget for IDA, so we don't have to do a piece of legislation every time we get it.
Thank you. Any questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9J, a resolution authorizing the parish president on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council to certify to the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that the Plaquemines Parish government has complied with all FHWA/DOTD requirements in 2022 relative to bridges located in Plaquemines Parish under the Plaquemines Parish government's jurisdiction. Councilmember Kokavich.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. We've inspected all the bridges and ramps and they all passed.
And we in compliance.
Thank you. Any questions? Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, while we're on the subject with DOTD, is it possible for you to help us with trying to get the permit done where Gun Concrete and Vulcan, presently they have to go all the way up to Myrtle Grove to turn around instead of just straight coming out the plant and go to Venture Global. They had applied for a permit.
Well, this is about bridges and
But anyway, they're gonna do the work themselves, they just need help with the permit.
We will look into that.
All right, thank you.
any other questions? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
Item 9K, a resolution to approve cooperative agreement L LA Gov number 20006814429 with the State of Louisiana Department of Natural Resources for the Plaquemines Parish Local Coastal Program Implementation to authorize the execution of said agreement by the parish president and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Blank.
I'd like to offer with changes.
Mr. Blink offers, but can you?
Yeah, sure. On line
Changes.
13, after natural resources, replace the period with a comment and put for, except for section 25D.
What?
I think what we'll do is, after a little further research, at the end of June 30th, 2025, we'll say, however, the administration shall request that the Commissioner of Administration waive the provisions of Section 25 of the proposed agreement.
That's fine with me. Thank you.
Okay.
And with those changes you offer,
I'd like to offer.
Mr. Blink offers, there a second? Second by Mr. Roussel. And what's this about?
This is to fund the local coastal program manager's position. The whole program, really. It's a cost share between the parish and the state.
Any other questions? Machines are open. Passes 8-0.
9L, an ordinance to accept donation of land from Phillips 66 Company and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
Ms. LaFrance offers, there a second? Second by Mr. Roussel or Ms. LaHaye. Is Mr. LaFrance? Just them donating this property. Any questions?
This is the donation of the property for the booster station that y'all were speaking about earlier.
Thank you. Any other questions? Machines open. It passes 8-0.
9M, an ordinance to accept quitclaim deed from the United States of America and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
Mr. LaFrance offers, there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bartholomew. Mr. LaFrance.
As written.
Any questions? You know where the location is?
Look at the map, it looked like, was it Narrett?
I do not know the exact location. Section 23, Township 24 South, Range 29 East.
Mine down for some reason.
Oh, it's up.
You know what they're giving it to us for?
I'm sorry?
You know why they're giving you this to us?
Yeah, so what Mr. Cooley told me was that a long time ago, the Corps had entered into this agreement with Plaquemines Parish government, and it was only recently noticed that these properties fell through the cracks in terms of being quitclaimed over to the parish government. And so this is basically to have these 3 tracts comport with what the original agreement was back in 2006.
Remember I called you about Ms. Pavlovich?
On this?
This is where the property is. I see on the map Pavlovich, so,
So let me ask you this, are these properties that we had commandeered after Katrina?
yes.
Yes. That the feds, yeah,
So
commandeered.
we never did get title cleared?
These 3 properties, for some reason, slipped through the cracks. It was only recently discovered.
Are they
And-
borough pits?
Yes.
And this is to correct the fact that they were never quitclaimed over. I'm looking on map 10, I see where West Ravenna Road is. So that next to property, the National Food and Beverage Company. So that's the
It's on, no,
area, part of the area and location.
Exhibit B, the page before.
Yeah. I can't, y'all not speaking in the mic, so I can't hear y'all.
Exhibit B, page before you just,
It's right on the upper side of Citrus City.
Yeah, well, it's in the exhibits.
Yeah.
yeah, but that's not Ravenna Road, that's down in Burris.
This is behind Citrus City?
Yep. North side of Citrus City. And
I remember coming.
she,
This is the borough pit behind Citrus City, huh?
And she said they never got paid for it. They took the property.
They should have got paid.
You wanna defer? What you wanna do, Hubbo?
Because when I called you, she told me they never got paid for this property that they took to dig the mud for the levees and.
If you want to, I'll be honest, Councilmember Cottonwitch, I don't recall the conversation. If you want me to look into that, I can look into it.
Yes, sir.
I'll defer.
Item 9N, a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president, Kirk Lapina, as designee to prepare and advertise a request for proposals for the operation of Port Ease and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Offer.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, I'll
second.
second. Mr. Blink seconds. Any questions?
Just discussion.
Yes, sir, Mr. Roussel.
So, the administration is gonna follow this to where they will, advertise a request for proposal for the operation and provide that request to the government so we can see what you're requesting and also receive the proposals and present all the responses to the parish council for review and approval?
I don't have a problem with that. I mean, I don't.
That's what it said.
I don't know that
That's
the
what it
president.
says, but I mean, I know that some of us would like to see what you're asking before you put it in the paper. So if we have some comments, we can address the advertisement prior to it going.
Yeah, I mean, I think the administration has always been of the view that the council should have an integral role to play in Port Eads, and if you want to add that to the legislation, I don't think we have any objections to that.
Yeah, I think it says that pretty clear, as long as y'all understand it that way.
Yeah, I mean,
So in other words, when you prepare the proposal that's gonna go in the paper, would you share it with the council members first?
we will, prior to advertisement, we will share the request for proposals with the council for comment.
And the rest is, after you receive the proposals, you will share the proposals with us. Thank you.
Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure. Is this going to be shared in industry journals and such, like boats and harbors, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think our experience has been that this has to be something that's widely distributed.
Yeah, I mean, the facility is still open and vacant, just like it was the day we all took office, or a month after we took office, I should say. I noticed that there was some, like the debris on the dock was finally removed after Hurricane Ida a few weeks back, or maybe a month ago.
I would have to defer to Mr. Eppley or someone else who's been down there. I haven't been down there.
So
Yes, we had somebody go down and clean off the docks.
it's great news. It's good. All right, thank you.
I'm really trying to find out what's really happening, because is this the same area where they had a board or something created as a nonprofit organization to operate this thing? Is that the same area?
That board's going, and we advertising it for somebody to rent.
Okay.
Rent nobody.
So y'all trying to turn it over to a private person?
Whoever wants to rent it, whoever's got the most money.
Okay.
Any other questions? Machines are open. It passes 8-0.
Item 9O, an ordinance to amend and as amended readopt Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, Chapter 12.5 Grant and Aid Programs to amend Sections 12.5-9 and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Offer as written.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, Mr. LaFrance, or Mr. Roussel seconds. Any questions? Administration, audience, machines open. Can you explain that to him, Mr. Bartholomew?
What it is we having some issues to try to help the poor people out that can't afford driveways that's been all cluttered up, that bring deep holes and things of that nature. And hopefully that we can appropriate some money in that line item to give us the authority to go down and do those properties. Because they are private properties.
But Mr. Bartholomew, didn't we do this already?
Yeah, but we have to redo this.
Okay.
Councilmember Roussel?
Passes 8-0.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
can we go back to item 8?
Go back to 8.
There's an additional introduction by Councilmember LaFrance, an ordinance to amend the 2022 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget Coastal Zone Management Department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Ms. LaHaye, you have one?
Yes, we also have it. You want me to read it, or?
Ms. Lay has
You
something.
got it, yeah.
An ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of a portion of Tract 5E, Bell Chase Plantation, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plat of survey of Cypress Park subdivision, Phase 2B by Bryant Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated June 17, 2022, the owner having fulfilled the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines, without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaHaye.
Thank you.
Agenda item 10, approval of the minutes from the September 9, 2022 regular meeting.
Corbin,
Mr. Albro offers, Mr. LaFrance seconds. Are there any questions? Machine's open.
Councilmember Blank. Thank you.
Passes 8-0.
Agenda item 11, new business. A, introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. I don't believe we
Yeah.
have any.
No.
B, District 9 update.
Defer.
Okay. D, District 1 update, Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yes, I'd like to bring up a comment about the elevations for homes. People owning property right quick, just make a statement about Brock right quick. And Wiley's, yeah, that's it.
Clarence Brooks, residence, Phoenix, Louisiana. Address is 156 Crossover Lane. This morning I went to the permit office to get a permit to put a mobile home that it's not a mobile home, it's a cottage. It was used for fishing and hunting. My next door neighbor owned it, and he deceased. And his son wanted me to. His dad had told him to sell it to me if I ever want to buy it. So I purchased the little cottage, and and I put it on my property, and I went for a permit to get the for sewer and electric, and they told me I got to elevate that cottage 17 to 21 foot in the air. See, that's the parish new ordinance that came up. They say any building that we purchase, although it have no, it's paid for outright. So
Well, I could tell you, I talked to FEMA and some of the Scalise, Cassidy, Kennedy, all of them. They said that FEMA won't listen to them. FEMA passed this. They said if we didn't accept the maps, Plaquemines wouldn't have flood insurance.
well, at East Bank we don't have flood insurance.
And I told them, I asked them, I said, let's say I could self-insure. I'll sign any agreement with FEMA releasing them of any responsibility. FEMA told me I can't do it. I said, why? He said, what if you sell it? I said, I'll put that in my agreement. I can't sell it. Nope, can't do it.
So, in other words, if we don't elevate anything on the East Bank, I'm talking about FEMA. Just say from the East Bank and from Captain Larry on down. If you don't get it elevated,
Can't put it.
you can't put it. So, in other words, the East Bank will not grow anymore.
They made
Can't afford it.
the East Bank and the lower part of the parish unlivable.
Unlivable. Because I already asked the guy how much it cost to elevate. He told me between
100,000.
110 to 140. Just to do the steps costs $10,000. If I do 2 sets of steps, it's gonna be $20,000. We can't afford that. The East Bank, the population, I say about 70% of the people living on an income less than $30,000 a year. How can they put, and when the hurricane come and a lot of homes get destroyed, they will not be able to be replaced because they got to be elevated.
I argued with him. I said, if my trailer went away today, I gotta replace it, go up 13 feet. If Katrina came again, I'm still underwater 8 feet. So what good did it do spending $100,000?
I know.
And then I asked them from St. Bernard to New York and Jefferson Parish to Mexico, how high is their levee? Said they don't have one. I said, my point exactly. But I gotta go up 13 feet. But it's a fight we're not gonna win today.
So what I'm gonna do with over $20,000 invested in a mobile home and can't do anything with it? Can y'all, all the councilmen and Mr. President and Mr. President, call them and talk to them a little bit more that we're gonna shut the East Bank down. If
I got-
can't afford it.
I got-
First storm come, the Katrina destroyed every home from Pearl Ash to Phoenix. If this ordinance was been here to now, there'll be still be empty area. And the elevation that I know they got a grant going out right now to elevate a few homes. The ones the trailer, they say they're not elevating trailers. Now that it's a modular trailer, either a home.
Hear that?
So how are we gonna survive over there?
It's not only the East Bank,
Huh?
but it's the West Bank also.
I said from Captain Larry on down. They say we cannot put new construction.
I know how you feel. And
But if we don't, if the parish let that ordinance go and say if you got to put your home over there and you're responsible for it,
It's not-
So can we tell FEMA? Well, we should not let them hold us, tie our hands up like that because the residents need somewhere to stay. We can't afford it. We can't afford it. If we do elevate it, at a certain amount of time, we ain't gonna be able to get into it. We're gonna be too old to go up 45 steps.
I'll argue that, and it hasn't gone anywhere yet.
But can the parish get rid of that?
And Dunham
Parish-
Spring experienced the same thing.
Huh?
And what FEMA did, FEMA took all the flood insurance from Dunham Spring until they came back into compliance. So this council basically was between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, so in other
Either we
words,
didn't adopt the FEMA flood map,
Uh-huh.
or no one in the parish was gonna be able to get flood insurance. Again, I live in Diamond. I experienced the same thing. After Katrina, I had to build back from scratch. A very little rural home. You know, that was a joke. Everything was a joke. So we feel your pain. Your pain. We all have properties that have very little value. There's nothing we can do with it because anybody who come down on the southern end of the parish, they have to elevate anywhere to 12 to 14 feet.
right.
We all know that you're not by yourself. We in the same position.
Mr. Blink,
So the question: are y'all gonna be calling these congressmen? Can
I'll call them again.
call them, let them know that we
'Cause
we
they-
need to survive.
They told me point blank, they said FEMA doesn't listen to us.
We got to tell them more than one time until they realize that it don't work for this area. It ain't gonna work.
Mr. Blink?
So if that goes for cottages and like it's not all.
Everything, unless it's a temporary, and you have to move it every 6 months.
Now, you see, I don't know anything. I don't know about that. So if you build a garage, or they expect us to elevate a garage? Or if you build a shed, do they expect for us to elevate a shed? I don't know that.
The shed's supposed to be elevated. Garage, wait now.
It's for
Tell 'em.
habitable structures.
The garage have to be open.
That's your answer.
That could be,
That's your answer.
A
It's
boat
not a
shed,
cottage.
a boat
It's
shed could be built on the ground, right?
No, it's not a cottage.
Yes, sir.
It's not
It's a
livable.
shed.
Because
That's
it's not
the answer.
habitable.
You understand?
I understand.
Okay,
I'll go back to the permit office and let them know I need my shed put together.
there you go.
Uh-huh.
There you
That
go.
don't make sense. All right, thank y'all.
All right.
Don't forget call tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
Y'all got some power, some pull.
Next item.
oh, wait, just one more thing on District 1. I'll ask Mr. Eppley if he can come up with a plan of trying to upgrade the water lines on the East Bank and what it costs and what we need to do with it, put it on the scope. So, next time we can try to prevent some of this, low water pressure that we have. And I know we can't do it in one summer, but if we have a plan of action, I think we can start working on it.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Next item.
Item 11E, District 7 update, Councilmember LaFrance. Item 11F, District 5 update, Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, am I on? The pre-board meeting at the port, there was some discussion about the water intake being in the way of the port barge being in the way of the water intake. And I was told that by the port administration that they have to move the barge. Y'all familiar with all of this, or?
I got a call last week from our chief engineer who said he was going to a meeting with the port. I was not invited to that meeting, and I have not gotten any information from that meeting. I'm guessing that's what you would refer to.
Yes, I am, and I'm getting mixed information from that meeting. So I think it'd be good for us to, if you don't mind, set up a meeting, or Mr. Lepine's not here, but to set up a meeting with Mr. Dugas and myself. I've called for him. I haven't gotten a return phone call to try to ask this question, to find out what we really have to do with that barge.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
G's deferred.
And H, discussion of the bid for Building 800 renovation for the
Yes.
911 call center, Councilmember Roussel.
Yes, I saw that in the Gazette being advertised. Could you tell us what the funding source and how much?
The total funding is just over 1.4 million. 500,000 of that funding is coming from Venture Global, and the balance of it is in I believe it's CDBG funds. It's grant money for sure. I don't know exactly which one, but I believe it's CDBG.
And the 500,000 for Venture Global, is that a decision the administration made to pay for that, or did Venture Global earmark it for that?
I'm sorry, could you say that again?
Yes, the 500,000 from Venture Global, is that impact funds, or is that something that they earmarked that 500,000 for, or the administration paid?
It is not impact funds. It is something that Venture Global earmarked for the EOC.
Okay, and the CDBG funds are the balance?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Item I, discussion regarding Civil Service Department, Councilmember Bartholomew.
I was in the queue.
I'm sorry. Mr. Blink?
Will that critical piece of infrastructure be required to be elevated? The 911 Emergency Operations Center? Will that be required to go on stilts?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Will the EOC, the 911 center, will it have to go on stilts?
It's an existing building that's already on the ground and is not going to be affected by the base floodplain. In fact, I believe because of the area it's in, the base flood elevation is below what the building elevation is anyway.
If we're going to live in a disaster zone, we need to be really, really good at it. Putting the 911 center on the ground is a very bad idea. I've said it before on this board. I'll say it again, and I'll leave it at that. I think it is extremely short-sighted. I think it is a very foolish thing to do that is inviting trouble in our darkest hour. Yield.
Mr. Roussel?
Just a follow-up on that, the base flood elevation of the bottom floor of this new EOC, how does that compare to the floor that it's in located now? What is the difference in elevation between where we're building it and where we're taking it from?
Where we're building it and where we're taking it from?
Yeah, we're taking it from the third floor of the Popage building.
I don't have those figures.
Could you get those figures for us and let us know how much in elevation we're putting it lower than what we're at now?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Discussion of Civil Service Department, Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, this week I had a conversation with the Civil Service, the director, the only person that's there at this point, and I was concerned about the Parish deckhands and personnel. And I just found out, she said she was the only person at Civil Service. That's why it hasn't been processed more effectively and more quickly, because she's the only one. But I said, well, this very situation is terrible, so we need to get expeditiously and take care of that. And she said she had, I think, 4 people applicants, and one she already had approved and sent it over. So that would be 5 people, personnel that they would have, and that should almost take care of the problem with that department, with the deckhand itself. So I've been contacting them with about that, and that's where we are with that. So I don't know why she said she have a personnel that she had access for, and she's working on hiring somebody for the position and interviewing people for that position. And she don't have them yet, have that person yet.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Offer?
Motion by Mr. Bartholomew, second by Mr. Arbrough. Machines open. Passes 8-0. Let the record show we adjourned at 6:40 PM.